Here in Hong Kong on a tour of the bay, looking across at Hong Kong Island right now. Started the tour from Kowloon, which is the other side. And the main city of Hong Kong is a little bit further back in that direction. Building off in the distance is, I guess, the fourth largest building in the world. Apparently in Hong Kong, having gold color on a building is considered very lucky, or it is in Chinese culture. And that building, as well as the NEC building, right in the center now, are both considered lucky for that reason. The other building off in the background is the Bank of China, and that building is not liked by the Hong Kong people because of its, apparently the direction which it faces.
And in front of the Central Plaza, that has a meaning with that big...
3,200 meters or so, but this airport will close in '97 when a new airport opens on a more distant island. That airport will be 24 hours away. We're just beginning our cruise now from Hong Kong to Guangzhou. And we'll be on the boat for about the next 9 hours or so. This is a view of Hong Kong at night. You can still see a lot of the Christmas decorations. And vaguely a few of the boats out there in the harbor.
Especially with all the Christmas lights, it's really nice.
Yes. We've just arrived in Guangzhou. Anything to say about this, Kathy?
Amazed by all the bikes.
Good, Sheila?
We don't hit anybody.
Maybe? Hi, baby.
She wants a shower.
Hey, Michael, Jerry. Anything to say about our arrival now in Guangzhou?
We're here. Haven't hit anybody yet.
I don't think Ken can hear me from up there.
We're going there.
They have Game Boy.
The history. Okay. I don't have to watch anymore. I just watch it when we get back.
How many?
刀上面这里面拉面，
这是拉面，
这是拉面，现在是拉面。那等一下我有刀上面，
它上面有刀丝。
那最多可以拉几条？
好，大一些。
啊？
要是多一些，然后多少？
那可以这样拉得很细很细。可以请他拉细。所以这所有的面拉起来是一条线。
Hi.
Hi there.
Don't pack too much because you need space when you come back.
Always been.
This is a mutton, and this is a rabbit, and this is a kind of like rat, and there's mutton.
The crab
There's
and
catfish,
Michael buying up there?
and the crab, and there's some frog.
No bugs though.
no bugs today.
No bugs today.
Eel in there.
Turtles. Very young turtles.
What are these? Those are the frogs. Last night we had a very large turtle with for dinner. Is that a beaver?
This is snakes here.
Oh, there's snakes in there. Okay.
How many are getting used to catch
There's a beaver. We had beaver last night.
That's a badger.
Badger there.
There's a turtle. Sun-kissed hen.
Bigger turtle.
There's a good size.
And then here are all the birds. And so last night we also had a field chicken, and they even have peacock.
These are the Chinese medicine. What they do is they weigh it on a scale up there, or you can get some dried goods like walnuts or dried cuttlefish or smoked sausage over here. And back there it's called silver ears. They are the dried fungus that look like ears. They're white, so they're called silver ears. Lots of goodies.
It's delicious.
And up there, it's dried seaweed. What you do is you boil the water and you dump that thing in there. It'll get all fluffed up.
What's that?
This is a shark fin right here. Kathy just checked on the prices, and it's approximately $100 for 1 kilogram of shark fin, and that big one down there is about $6,000. The dog right here. The price for the dog is about $2 per pound. There's a rabbit also next to the dog. This is a flattened duck apparently up on the top. And a bunch of different sausage and fried fish and stuff like that. Here's a type of egg we apparently had with our porridge this morning. Camera's just showing me. There's some pigs in the back of the truck.
Okay. I don't think so.
No?
Boy, they're awful small. Yeah, they are pigs. They are. Boy, they're...
We're smoking a cigarette through a pipe. Just one of these hopped out of the tank onto the ground. These are just fish heads. Michael was just explaining that these are bought to make fish head soup. Maybe difficult to see, but look on the fish on the left-hand side especially. You can see the heart's still beating. It's that fresh. The fish was just cleaned apparently. Here's a bunch of eel. Here's some more flattened ducks at the end. Here you can actually see the heads still on. I guess these are the 1,000-year eggs here in the front. We're not exactly sure, but in the back it's a duck egg apparently, or something a little bit different. still see the egg covered in some kind of a soot or something that was fermented in. So this area is very non-characteristic looking of Guangzhou. Looks like it's been through a war, but actually they're tearing this section down to build a new subway in the town, which should help traffic congestion a little bit. One of the more plant-filled residential areas of the city. The intersections are absolutely amazing to watch. There's no control of traffic, you just kind of go for it. Right now it's a little bit calm, but when the cars start flying down, it's you hear massive honking. And a Chinese barber shop. Just explain that this is dog also. About 38 Chinese dollars. Well, this is $4 US dollars per pound. Michael debating or discussing whether the dog or goat in here. The back is actually catching the birds, and then they're putting them into this bag here in the front. The person selecting his dinner apparently. Oh, and those are right down to the next bin someone's buying.
Take those home and cook them up.
Bartering over the price right now. And it's all a good nation. These are all rats down here.
Check the note really carefully. There must be like counterfeit notes.
What are they eating?
Birds are eating. In the back are some kind of little hen or bird of some sort, and some big rats here in the front. I think these are doves here. Peacocks.
In the front.
Victor, you can do the commentary here.
What should I say? Put my finger in there and see if he wants to chew it?
No. This is a beaver, I guess.
That's the brother of the one we had last night for dinner.
A Bucky.
Yeah, right. Bucky beaver.
These are all rabbits. Turtles coming in. Here you got little kittens. Got a wild boar over there. What is that? Oh my. Oh. They're dried snakes here. Not sure how you eat them. Apparently these are millipedes, which they wrap up also and eat these as well. And a little ways back, Phoebe doesn't want to describe it, and I don't want to make the video X-rated, but there's apparently a dried penis of some animal as well. These are live scorpions. They apparently fly. This is apparently the dried penis here. Someone's picking up some, and then also some antler in this bin, which is, I guess, very expensive. We've just gotten off the train. I'm not exactly sure where this is at, but we've been on now for about 11-12 hours or so. And we have about a 12-minute stop here before continuing our ride to Beijing. So train. Some of the train guards. Good, Eric.
We're heading towards Beijing and we're halfway through. This is the middle part of China. We're probably in the province of Hubei. Did you catch what I said? Now we're going through the farms, and once in a while you will see some cows and some pigs. And of course you'll see the farmers working on farms, and I guess there are some stores along this road as well. These are the typical farmhouses that people live in. There are also some apartments, 4 stories high. Oh, the silo. Is that the silo? Do you have nuclear bombs?
Peanuts or something?
You're live on Candid Camera.
Come right in, please.
Anything to say about yourselves for this trip?
Nothing.
Nothing?
Alcoholic and food.
Eat, drink, men,
Obsessed.
So right now it's, what, about 5 o'clock?
5, yeah.
So we've been on the train now for how many hours? 12, 17, 20 hours so far.
Here, come on, capture this moment.
And 13 to go.
John. Wake up.
Wake up, wake up.
It's getting cold. What's that? We're going to send you up forward to get them.
Joseph.
If you want to wake up, just jump outside and come back.
Joseph, Ken, any comments on your last dinner of 1995? Oh, another dish.
Okay, someone stop.
Jerry, Stevie, anything about your last?
Mr. Bromblowski from the Harvey Oswald School of... No.
Okay, we've heard enough from you now.
Frameless tea mud.
Michael. Wait, okay, go ahead. For the train hosts and workers and all, staying in the log on this New Year's Eve.
Hey, Art, there's a map here of McDonald's.
Oh, I see, that's great.
And also
How about Pizza Hut?
Pizza Hut and Kentucky Fried Chicken, all of them are right here.
Yeah, that's great.
Yeah.
We're now in Tiananmen Square. There's a group up there.
Okay, according to our local authorities, that's a sign that indicates the number of days, 547 days, and then the number of seconds, which would be 47,218,393 and counting down before Hong Kong reverts back to China. Coats down below the bottom of the picture, so somebody's going to look at it and say, why are you taking a picture of somebody handing a coat to somebody else? But behind it's the sign.
Up ahead is the entrance to the Forbidden City, which is where we're headed right now. We're now inside the Forbidden City. Jared is saying this was built by 1 million people between 1406 and 1420. This is now looking back from the second level inside the Forbidden City. And as you can see, there's a large marble pathway leading from the center of that building to the center of the building behind me. And apparently this is the marble path that the Emperor would be carried on whenever he would leave or enter the Forbidden City. No one else was allowed to walk on that path. Also around the sides, you can see the smaller buildings. That's where the concubines were kept. And those are adjacent to a little bit more ornate buildings. And apparently the reason for that is the entire complex was designed with the yin, or the female docile intent, being the smaller, more drab buildings, and the yan being represented by a more active role, and those would be the buildings which were used by the government ministers. Also, along the side of this building, which behind me, they had a problem with retaining the water, having the water flow down properly, and these dragons were used to drain the water. The water would actually flow out of the dragon's mouth. And there are 1,100 of these going all around this particular palace. And that was what they called a imperial solution to a common problem. But apparently when it's raining, it's still a beautiful sight. This building is where the Emperor's throne is, and it's called the Great Hall of Harmony. And this is the one which is surrounded by all of the dragon spouts. But apparently the building is made out of entirely made out of wood, and every other building in the complex is also made out of wood only. And the wooden pillars are painted with a red lacquer to preserve the wood over all these years. This particular building, though, has burnt 4 times and has been rebuilt every time according to the original plans. That is the Emperor's throne off in the background. On each corner of the plateau area in front of the building are 2 symbols. This one on the left-hand side is a sundial, which apparently symbolizes the Emperor's control of the seasons and represents good farming. And on the right side is a rain gauge, which is also used to represent a very productive or a very profitable harvest yield. The smaller building behind the Hall of Great Harmony is the Hall of Middle Harmony, and apparently this is where the Emperor would greet his own personal staff before going to the larger ceremonies in the Hall of Great Harmony. Also, every year when the harvest would begin, he would come here first and was then taken to a farming area south of Beijing, and he would actually plow the first row of seeds in the field, which was apparently good luck for the upcoming season. This is now yet another level into the Forbidden City, and another hall of, I think this is Eternal Harmony. 2 interesting things though. So in terms of the building, they were concerned about lightning strikes, and at the top, on each side, is a dragon which apparently was meant to ward off lightning. And in modern day, they have actually installed lightning rods. You can see off to the left of the dragon. And then on each corner, along the side, you can see a little procession of animals. Those are apparently lions and seahorses and all sorts of different things, being led by a man on a hen. And apparently that procession is also meant to scare away lightning or to protect the building. In terms of the colors, also, most buildings are red, and this represents with fire, which is regarded very highly in this culture. And also the inside of the buildings have a fair amount of yellow on the ceilings, and that's used to represent the earth. This large marble stone was quarried south of Beijing. It was actually transported here by 20,000 people. It took 28 days. The stone itself is a little bit over 3 meters wide, 1 meter thick, and a little over 16 meters long. It's one single piece of marble and weighs over 200 tons. It's actually transported during the winter, so they actually would drill wells and then slide it along the ice. This building is actually the separation between the Emperor's personal palace, or his quarters, just beyond here to the north, and the more public areas which we've just looked at. Apparently the Emperor was the only male allowed in this area. Not even the princes were allowed to go into the area, I believe, during a certain part of the day. This is now just inside the inner court, which is the personal quarters of the Emperor. This is the entrance to what's known as the Palace of Heavenly Purity. This is the Emperor's personal quarters, and where he would bring his harem for long evenings. Apparently there was one emperor that even had 27 beds in here, and apparently died during the evening. And that is the Emperor's chair. And you can see around it there are a number of sayings, and in order to prevent him from strictly enjoying the harem that he had surrounding him, he had apparently hard work slogans all around. And those you see both vertically and horizontally around the throne. Also, in order to assure the succession, he would actually write the name of his successor on a piece of paper that he kept with him, and also a piece of paper behind the plaque up on the top. And when the Emperor died, those 2 pieces of paper were compared, and the successor was announced. This area is the entrance to the garden area, which is part of the Emperor's personal quarters, and it's filled with a variety of unusually shaped rocks and just nature-like areas that makes it feel like he's not in the palace, but is actually able to walk outside on the way. All of the ground also, all the sidewalks, are covered with pebbles in the shapes of various designs representing fights or certain animals or different things from history. It's a very interesting place to walk around. But now they're negotiating for a rickshaw ride to go down to the hotel.
Just catch up with
There they go.
You getting it?
Yeah.
All right, there he goes. Got to get it started. Boy, all that weight.
Hundreds of pounds.
The military?
Yeah. If you misbehave inside of the Forbidden City, that's the group that
The guys with rifles with revolvers are eyeballing you. Bus drivers getting out.
It's a little accident up here apparently. Bus driver ran the army chief into the rail.
I love it. Three short snaps of the left hand. We're down to 2. Keep coming. Oops. Okay, move it. There he goes. 180. Go. Roll him along. All right.
Is this funny or?
Yes, it is. So what do you have to say about your hat?
Okay.
There's Stevie's trying some clothes on.
We're doing it. Yeah, we were just trying to fit our stomach.
with what? What is this stuff?
This is lamb. This is
a lamb meat.
And explain to John that just because it's small pieces doesn't mean it necessarily comes from a
rat.
small animal.
Yes.
This is thinly sliced rat, right?
That was last night on the train.
It's very possible.
So the way this works then, here's this little plate of lamb down here. And you put that into the boiling pot of water. And presto, a few seconds later you have cooked lamb. Unlike the cooked rat from last night.
Actually, the rat didn't take much longer to
was
cook.
just too busy to explain.
Takes longer to explain than to cook. Joseph is so good at waving it back and forth. He makes little waves, sort of like tidal waves. Back and forth.
That makes
At the field factory now.
Right.
Getting our lesson in how the steel is being made.
这北港可能多，10吨。Slash and no material and some alloy inside.
This one is not being used, right? Or is this one used now?
This contains raw material and slag alloy, I believe he said.
We do some repair, maintenance, and some maintenance. So when we do some repair instead of converter, we want to make it run smoothly. So I put some material inside and shake it. But right now, they are put some slag. Put some slag inside. So that means this converter will put in operation no longer. So maybe one of them will be solved. Say this one is green. No, actually, you said we very small.
Zooming in on that, Harv?
Yeah, we got it.
Now that's molten iron that's going in to the converter to be converted into steel. At about 1,200 degrees. I don't know if it's Fahrenheit or centigrade, but it's hot.
Centigrade.
Centigrade. It's hot. You wouldn't want to try to catch some in your hands. Look at that. That's classic photography. Woo. Yeah, they're pouring into the casting machine.
Take care of your hair.
Why don't we get a picture?
Yeah, let's take a picture, you guys.
People right there.
Hey, Hart.
Jerry and Kathy in the Chinese car.
We're heading out away from the steel making factory number 1. Now this is all scrap metal that they add to the that's going back over
To the converter.
that goes right to the converter.
They're actually going to the converter before they have just how to say scrap it. Then step and say they have to make it as a small piece.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then
They cut it up and put it in.
Yeah, yes. Put
Yeah.
it in.
Very large lathe. It handles up to 10 meters long. Michael, baby.
Small gift put on your desk to remind you of the Johnson School. And the next time when you write for Cornell, you will remember us.
Okay, thank you very much.
So, thank you very much.
I'll never forget. Okay.
Here comes Jerry now on the ice slide, water slide, whatever you call it. Say goodbye to his wife. Here he comes. Oh my God, what a view. This is going to be an R-rated film. Any comments?
Yeah. Next!
Okay, who's next?
Sheila.
Alright, here comes Sheila. She's sitting down, ready to go. Much more calm than Jerry. Very, wow, look at the distance here.
Boy, look at the skid marks.
Here comes Vivi.
No, that's Kathy.
Oh, Kathy, I'm sorry. It's hard to read, see through this thing.
Oh man, this is fun. We should let's have a competition on the next one. Who can go the farthest?
Oh, just International Playboy Ken didn't even.
Wow. Vivi's going way down there.
Lose by a mile.
That's amazing.
It must be.
With Michael.
Out there quite a ways too.
Vivi.
Hello.
Oh.
Hey.
That's Kathy and John. There's the slide. Hey, Michael. Hey, Mike.
Okay, here we go.
There they go, off into the sunset.
What kind of braces?
Does it say REC?
Yeah, now it's REC. No, stop.
Help!
Getting off. Changing guards.
Get away.
Your turn.
Okay.
It's a great race here. They're setting the rules. On your marks! On your marks! Get set! Go! Don't run into me.
Use your pineapple!
Now preparing our duck.
So we're going to eat this duck for the next 3 hours.
Cheers, Harv.
This is Harv stuff. Hold on, there we go. This is Peking duck being prepared.
He's sort of browning them and singeing them probably at the same time. Oops. See if he grabs one here. There it goes. Where it flames up a little bit, as I'm sure a little fat's dripping off. They really are fatty. And turn to the left here a little bit, Harv, and you can see kind of the finished product.
Oh, yes.
And then if you go to the right, you can see the version of Have Duck Will Travel. Hey, Sheila.
Never can you find another place to enjoy the most delicious duck.
Bye-bye.
That's it?
Like
Hey.
what?
Anything to say, Jerry?
If I fall off, who's going to teach in the spring? Yahoo! Right on, cowboy.
You want to tell us where you're at?
Somewhere 2/3, 3/4 up the Great Wall of China. And pooped out.
Ken?
What's wrong? You not working? You on film?
Hey.
Need a film?
Nice. This should be enough for you.
Okay, what'd you say? 8,000 feet down?
8,000 feet down. Oh, that way though. No.
Huh.
No, pan out further so it looks like I'm a daredevil.
Alright. Wait a second. There's the smart way to come up. A cable car. Ken, Jerry?
Goodbye forever.
Not forever.
Okay, so sayonara.
Oh, we're headed back down now. Auf Wiedersehen. Here's our ride back to Beijing.
This is the first step in the 5 or 6 step process to make, how do you pronounce it, cloisy?
Croissant.
And take a copper pot, and they're gluing the outline for the porcelain that will be put into place. You can see they have a print in mind, and they take little pieces and make the pattern that they have in mind. John takes great patience, and the glue is pretty smelly.
Probably doesn't do much for maintaining oxygen levels in the brain. I have this feeling it'd be a place that OSHA would not be too overly thrilled with.
Right? This is
Steps
3.
3.
This is now where they're putting.
Hammering and just now you see the filigree soldering and now the enamel filling.
Now this is putting the enamel into the holes in between the filigree.
Yeah.
Now is the filigree just glued onto the pot? It is not soldered.
No.
Okay. And they're filling it in, and then after this they will fire it.
Fire it and then polish it.
And then they will fill it again, though. You said sometimes because the filling closes shrinks down, and so it will be necessary to fill it again.
Polish and gilding.
This is still all rough. So when it's polished, then it's smooth.
Yeah, very smooth. I think you can see the finished ones.
Okay. They use eyedroppers to fill. That's what they're called, eyedroppers. We're now in the store where the finished products are. We could not see steps 4, 5, and 6. Those are secret. That involves the firing and the polishing. When they are all done, the surface is completely smooth. If you turn around, Harvey, and see this big vase here, you can see it's a very, very smooth surface. But you can look and see the copper filigree that the ladies were putting on in the first room that we saw. End of narration.
inside the summer palace. Okay, everyone.
Did you get a picture of that sun?
Yes, I'm getting it. Second.
That is really beautiful. It's so quiet.
There's Jerry. Ice skating without ice skates.
Ice in the water?
Once around this lake.
They're throwing ice over there. We're recording. We're in the, what's this called?
The long corridor.
The long corridor. Sections.
700 and some meters long.
And it has
Thousands
pictures.
of pictures. Each one is different.
Each one is different. Right, I gotta get the zoomer here. Whoops. What is it? There it is. There's one. There is another. There's that one with the ugly big bird. There's a nice flower arrangement. Here it is. Look at this. An uninvited guest for dinner. But you have to see it in context. And here's the context. The corridor continues. And this is a wonderful palace behind all those trees. I don't know if you can hear it. The ice is cracking in the background. Listen. Those pew pew sounds is the ice cracking. Okay. This is another one of the pictures. And then pan back a little bit. And swing down and to the right here, just a tad. The old Empress Dowager had good taste. Must have been a little playhouse.
For the Empress?
For the Empress. Yep.
And the boats sit in within the ice, but the ice is chipped away on the outside. Oh, we've seen the sunset, and here's the moonrise. Judy? What do you want, Judy?
What do I want?
Okay, we'll go together. Here's a plate of dog. First time we've tried this on the trip. Chihuahua?
Go ahead.
These are frog legs. Frog legs.
Tastes like elbow. And frog legs here. And frog legs here. Cucumbers. Frog legs there. A couple of them cooking here. There's frog leg. There's scallops, pork, beef. Very good dinner. Very comforting and surprising. Here we have the frog. This one is gotten ready to be. All I do is dip it in the sauce.
You wolf it down.
Yeah. I'm gonna go with this delicately.
Does everybody really
I will point out that not a lot of the dog has been eaten. And the question is, what will survive tonight? What is this, Harf? Where are we?
We're in the Temple of Heaven. I'm not sure what the building is up ahead though.
All right, Ken and Kathy.
We just passed by the Echo area.
We're on the bridge of Vermilion Stairway, something like that.
And off to the right is the Temple of Abstinence.
Harvey was thinking of going to live there until he found out it was abstinence from meat, in which case he said,
no Big Macs.
No Big Macs, no dog? Are you kidding? If I can't eat dog, I will not be a part of that religion. There he is, the dog-faced number one.
We have enough of that now.
Yep.
Bye.
Except bye.
Bye.
Say something in frog. How many frogs did you eat last night?
Rivet. Probably 12 frogs last night. Little frog legs, very good.
This is a combination, good news, bad news. On the one hand, it looks like we have sort of a reproduction of a hand-carried throne. Zero in on it here. On the other hand, if you look closely to the right, you see that they have some costumes there, and my guess is that for a small fee, you can put one of them on and set in the throne and have your picture taken.
Small phenomenal fee.
Right, which means that chances are that the reproduction was made probably about 2 years ago. This is oven where they would sacrifice something. It probably animals, looks like. Ox there. Set of incense burners.
I think Lena explained that they would sacrifice the animals before the harvest each year.
Well, this is the temple of the harvest, of the good harvest. We're just on the outer wall. This is the entrance to it, coming up here. And that is it inside, which where we'll go next. This is one of the gargoyle-like figures. That is the discharges the rainwater from the edge of the temple. This again is the entrance to the temple, not the temple itself. Zoom in on some of that detail up there. Beautiful color, green, blue, gold. And that's netting, presumably to keep the pigeons from roosting. There's the temple of good harvest. This could be a repeat. This is the Temple of Good Harvest. I'm not sure the camera was going before, so I will do it again. This is the Temple of Good Harvest. The four pillars decorated in gold represent the 4 seasons of the year. The 12 red pillars represent the months of the year. And then on the outside, there are 12 more pillars, which represent the division of the day into 12 parts. The first division started at 11 p.m. and went to 1 a.m. and then every 2 hours there were another 2. There was another division. 12 plus 12 plus 4 equals 28, and that was to represent the number of constellations that the Chinese believed were in the heavens. The animals here are cows, and cows were thought to be the most exquisite form of animal life, and so they were used as the principal sacrificial animal, and these are represent then that highest form of life that is used in the harvest, the Temple of Good Harvest. That's why that cow was out above the sacrificial altar oven on the outer ring. Smile.
The 4 character means emperor, or it can also mean God.
It's a fish covered with what looks like worms, but apparently it's something else. I'm not quite sure yet.
It's just part of the fish.
Oh, part of the fish.
It's a whole fish.
Porcelain throne.
This is getting ready for construction. They're putting together their bamboo scaffolding.
Need them bite that out.
And what is that declining with?
Come down and stab you hard.
Don't let that happen.
I think in Hong Kong they built that shit.
They never work out. Did she really come over to come? And why isn't she here? You know what? We're going to get run over by a car.
We're shopping now. Look down here at the number of people working.
Be sure to get the three on the other side over there. Oh,
there we go.
The negotiators, buying gold by the ounce.
Down in the middle of the crowd, there's a little boy that we've met here on the streets in Shanghai. Been talking in English and has exchanged business cards, and he's giving us his address now.
You're on TV.
No movie.
Oh no, you can move. This is television.
What about your name?
那个是录音。
那个就是侬说新疆姑姑那边，那刚刚去给他听听吧。好吗？
Is that your name? Hey, that's your name in different languages.
Yes, yes, I have all
Oh, that's his name in all the different languages. Ah. Okay, I'm going to work my way out of the crowd here. VV tends to attract a wee bit of attention. Whoop. There's Harv. Oh, you better get out of the street. Holy shit. My God, I'm getting run over. Help. Where are they coming and going? Help. Ah.
Here they're making, what are these called?
I don't know, dumplings. Sausage or pork dumplings. First guy is taking out little chunks of dough, and the second one then flattens them out, fills them with a little bit of pork, then makes them into a little round ball or a little twist. They put about 16 of them in a box, and they steam them. And you get fat eating them.
Yes. Which we all are.
No, I haven't gained any weight. This is the rest of the story now. Those are the guys making the stuff. And this is the line of people waiting to buy them. And if we move in just a little bit, we might even see somebody we know. Hey, Ken. Where's Kathy? She up here? Guess not. Zoom in here.
I'm trying to cut in line.
You are?
See if anybody tries to kick me out.
You know anybody else in the line?
No.
Or so.
We're now in downtown Shanghai. This is a TV tower. And the area that we're walking along is called the Bund, which was developed by Europeans in the earlier part of the 20th century. You see the architecture of the buildings, of course, is very European as well. That hotel across the street, it's called the Peace Hotel, and this is apparently where all the foreign visitors would stay when they came to Shanghai, and were closely watched when they left the building. Again. This is looking across to the new area, which is called the Pudong area, and apparently the well, 17% of the total number of cranes in the world are being used right now to construct new high-rise buildings in that area. It's an absolutely incredible rate of development. Hong Kong now, or left Shanghai, on our way to Hong Kong. And as you can see, the card games continue. Jerry's been losing consistently, but is trying to regain.
I'm on top, one more time.
Are you? So what do you two have to say about China?
Great. Can't wait to come back.
Love the Spam.
Michael?
Had a great time.
That's good.
What's the question? I'm going to go buy some Rambo stock.
Fun? Fun and interesting for Michael. Fairly had a great time. Here's Ken back here. Not much to say, of course, since he's reading. And Kathy. Hi, Kathy. Anything to say about China now that we're on our way back? Anything to say about China now that we're on our way back to Hong Kong?
I'm glad I came here and I'm really impressed. I'll be back pretty soon, I'm sure.
With a job.
Probably.
And Joseph has not much to say. He's sacked out. Tired from the trip. Waiting to get back to Hong Kong and then on to Taipei. Right now we're still on our way into Hong Kong, but we're looking down on the main city across Kowloon Bay, and you can see Kowloon on the other side. And we're currently flying aboard one of the 3 Airbus A330s flown by Dragonair. Just like this one. We're on our way into Hong Kong. This is one of the most dangerous approaches anywhere in the world. It's a fairly sharp right turn just before touching down. Right now we're coming in over Kowloon. And making the turn. at the top of the peak in Hong Kong. Just took the cable tram up here. And we're looking back down in the main city of Hong Kong and then across the bay to Kowloon. Cruise ship that came in near the Star Ferry port. And the airport off in the distance, but no planes there right now, taking off or landing. Now,
here we are at the peak.
we've just been walking around, and how was it, 10 miles?
10 miles, yeah.
And Sheila's thinking of doing some shopping for clothes. What kind of clothes are you thinking of, Sheila?
A little mini skirt, some boots.
I see.
Okay. Like that.
Here's the peak tram. Getting ready to head back down.
You have to get on this side.
Here's the Bank of China building, which we were in yesterday. Very controversial building because of its orientation. It's apparently bad luck, considered to be bad luck by some of the Chinese. I'm in downtown Hong Kong on a Saturday. It's not as busy as yesterday. Here's Sheila on the subway. Standard subway.